Hello and welcome to Indus News live from Islamabad. I'm Jawad Tehami and these are the headlines. Missing climbers Muhammad Ali SADPARA of Pakistan, Iceland's John Snorri and Chile's Juan Pablo Moore have been officially declared dead. The announcement was made during a press conference which was attended by their family members in Skadu. Talking to the media, Ali SADPARA's son said he will continue his father's mission to summit all 14 mountains of above 8,000 meters. The three climbers lost contact with the base camp on the 5th of February while descending K2, the world's second tallest peak. NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg says the alliance's forces will not leave Afghanistan unless they believe the time and the situation is right. At a virtual meeting of the NATO defense ministers, Stoltenberg said the May 1 exit of all troops from Afghanistan under the Doha Agreement is conditional. In India, farmers have blocked nationwide rail system in protest against the government's controversial agricultural laws. Authorities have tightened security in the several states and want legal action against the farmer leaders over stopping the trains. Over 200 farmers have reportedly died during their agitation since November last year. In Myanmar, clashes have erupted between police and anti-coup protesters in the capital Naypyidaw and other main cities. Police used water cannon and rubber bullets to disperse the crowds. Earlier, hackers attacked multiple military-run government websites, including State Bank and the state-run broadcaster MRTV. About one-third of the U.S. military has refused to receive the COVID-19 vaccine despite significant infection levels in the forces. Meanwhile, PFIZER says South African variant of the virus may reduce antibody protection from the vaccine by two-thirds. In Pakistan, over 1,200 tested positive, while 52 have died overnight, raising the death toll to 12,436. Globally, the virus has claimed more than 2.43 million lives and infected nearly 110 million. And in tennis, world number one Novak Djokovic has stormed into the final of the Australian Open after beating KARASTEV in straight sets. He will face either Stefanos Tsitsipas or Daniil Medvedev in the final on Sunday. In the women's singles, Naomi Osaka will face Jennifer Brady for the title. Those were the headlines and detailed stories. Right after a short break, stay tuned. Welcome back, and now for the news in detail. Missing climbers Mohammad Ali Satpara of Pakistan, Iceland's John Snorri and Chile's Juan Pablo Moore have been officially declared dead. The announcement was made during a press conference which was attended by their family members in Skardu. The three climbers were last seen near a bottleneck on K2 earlier this month. But bad weather thwarted multiple attempts to search for them. Talking to the media, Ali Satpara's son said he will continue his father's mission to summit all 14 mountains of above 8,000 meters. He said the overwhelming support for his father from across Pakistan has given immense strength to his family. The head of Afghan MASSOUD Foundation, Ahmad Awali Massoud, has hailed Pakistan's role in the Afghan peace process. He said this during a meeting with Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan in Islamabad. During the meeting, the Prime Minister reiterated that there is no military solution to the conflict in Afghanistan. He said all the sides must work for a reduction in violence leading to a ceasefire in Afghanistan. According to Pakistan's Foreign Office, the visit of Wali Massoud is part of Pakistan's policy to reach out to the Afghan political leadership and deepen people-to-people ties. NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg says the alliance's forces will not leave Afghanistan unless they believe the time and the situation is right. At a virtual meeting of the NATO defense ministers, Stoltenberg said the May 1st exit of all U.S. troops from Afghanistan under the Doha Agreement is conditional. He said NATO fully supports the peace process and the implementation of the peace deal. But he said the Taliban must meet their commitments under the Doha Pact if they want their demand of troops exit to be met. He reasserted the importance of momentum in the peace talks, saying that it is the only path to peace. Stoltenberg added all allies, including the US, will make the decision to leave together when the time is right. Pakistan has slammed India for organizing a visit of its cherry-picked EU parliamentarians in occupied Kashmir. In a press briefing, the Foreign Office spokesperson said such visits are smokescreen aimed at diverting global attention away from India's rights violations in the valley. He says such visits are meaningless if the observers do not have access to all areas. He added that a meeting between the parliamentarians and the Hurriyat leaders would have revealed the ground realities of the situation in the valley. The spokesperson called on India to organize a visit of the UN observers to occupied Kashmir to assess the real situation. In India, farmers have blocked a nationwide rail system in protest against the government's controversial agricultural laws. Authorities have already tightened security in several states after the protest call. Earlier, the government warned of legal action against the farmer leaders if they attempt to stop the trains. On Wednesday, the agitation forced the railways to either cancel or divert trains in the Punjab state. The farmers are protesting against the reforms that allow the government to stop buying grain at fixed prices. Over 200 farmers have reportedly died during their agitation since November last year. In India, 2 more Dalit teenage girls have been found dead in their family's field in Unnao district of Uttar Pradesh state. The deaths mark the latest addition to the long list of sub-caste Hindu girls being molested and killed in India. Police say another 17-year-old girl, also found at the scene, is in critical condition. They suspect it to be the case of poisoning, with no signs of struggle at the site and no injury marks. However, the girl's brother claims the victims were found with their hands and feet tied up. India's opposition parties, including the Congress, said the police are downplaying the case. They said such incidents have become common under the rule of BJP government. In December, a similar incident of gang rape and killing of sub-caste Hindu girl sparked outrage. In Myanmar, hackers have attacked military-run government websites as a cyber war erupts after authorities shut down the internet. This comes as hundreds of thousands marched in the country, vowing to remain defiant in the bid to end the military rule. A group called Myanmar Hackers says it has disrupted multiple websites, including the central bank and the state-run broadcaster MRTV. Meanwhile, the military has issued arrest warrants for 6 celebrities, accusing them of encouraging the anti-coup movement. The actors and the singers have been campaigning for raising funds for the movement. The military said the celebrities have been charged for allegedly defaming the state. earlier, the UN warned of a potential escalation of violence after deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi was slapped with an additional charge. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has called on Iran to take steps to ensure full compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal. In a statement, Merkel's spokesperson said the Chancellor held a telephonic conversation with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. The spokesperson said Merkel expressed concern that Tehran continues to fail to meet its obligations under the deal. Merkel added now is the time for positive signals that create trust and increase the chances of a diplomatic solution. Meanwhile, Rouhani's office said the president told Merkel that it will be impossible to add anything to the deal. U.S. President Joe Biden has emphasized support for the recent peace deals between Israel and countries in the Arab and the Muslim world. Biden reiterated Washington's support in his first official phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Talking to reporters at the Oval Office, Biden said he had a good conversation with Netanyahu. In a statement, the White House said the two leaders stressed the need to continue close consultation on regional issues, including Iran. It said Biden underscored the importance of working to advance peace between Israel and Palestine. Meanwhile, Netanyahu's office said both the sides agreed to work together to bolster to the steadfast bilateral alliance. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will hold a virtual meeting today with his counterparts from Japan, India and Australia. The meeting comes as the first of the informal Quad group under the Biden administration. State Department spokesperson Ned Price said the meeting is critical to advancing shared goals in free and open Indo-Pacific. At a press briefing, Price said the foreign ministers will also coordinate their efforts and response to COVID-19 and climate change.
I'm pleased to announce that tomorrow morning, Secretary Blinken and his counterparts from Japan, Australia, and India will speak together. The Quad, as it's known, and this discussion with the Quad foreign ministers is critical to advancing our shared goals of a free and open Indo-Pacific and rising to the defining challenges of our time, including coordinating our efforts on COVID-19 response, as well as climate change.
Blinken will also discuss shared global challenges with the counterparts from France, Germany and the UK in a separate call. Now moving on, Turkey's parliament is set to form a subcommittee to probe rising levels of racism and Islamophobia in the European countries. In a statement, head of UNCRA's Human Rights Committee, Hakan Şavuşoğlu, said racism in Europe is culturally transforming into Islamophobia. He said the Council of Europe, OSCE group and the European Union have not been able to form a clear position on anti-Islamism. Şavuşoğlu said a subcommittee will hold talks with the international institutions and organizations on this issue. The subcommittee will start its work after the member lawmakers have been assigned by the Human Rights Committee. Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi has won his first confidence vote in the Parliament's upper house. The Senate voted 262 to 40 to back Draghi's technical political government. Draghi unveiled an ambitious reform plan aimed at bringing the country out of an unprecedented health and economic emergency. Addressing the Senate, he said Italy has a once-in-a-lifetime chance to rethink and rebuild the country. Draghi said his government will be environmentally conscious, staunchly pro-European and oriented towards technological and digital reforms. Meanwhile, a confidence vote today in the lower chamber of deputies is expected to give Draghi even broad backing. In Pakistan, 52 more people have died while over 1,200 tested positive for COVID-19 in the past 24 hours. The health ministry says the country's death toll has climbed to 12,488. The ministry said the tally of nationwide infections has crossed 567,000, of which 530,000 people have recovered. Meanwhile, the number of active COVID-19 cases has dropped to 24,000. The ministry said over 1,600 patients are in critical condition. About 1/3 of the U.S. military has refused to receive the COVID-19 vaccine despite significant infection levels in the forces. Meanwhile, Pfizer says South African variant of the virus may reduce antibody protection from the vaccine by 2/3. Globally, the virus has claimed more than 2.43 million lives and infected nearly 110 million. More about the coronavirus pandemic in this report.
With the government desperate to immunize their population and get the economy back on track, vaccine shortages and their questionable ability to treat new variants are proving to be a roadblock. In the United States, New York's Attorney General has sued Amazon over its handling of worker safety issues at 2 warehouses. The pandemic has left its mark on churches across Latin America as Ash Wednesday passed with a no-touching rule in place. El Salvador has immediately started rolling out its immunization program after the arrival of the first shipment of AstraZeneca vaccines. Meanwhile, an immunization drive is taking place in Ceará city of Brazil, where researchers studying the behavior of the pandemic in a vaccinated population.
The study will allow for countless comparisons. It will allow for an in-depth look at what happens to those who are vaccinated as well as the pandemic. This is an unprecedented study in the world with the complete immunization of a community.
The world's first COVID-19 human challenge study will begin within a month in the United Kingdom, deliberately exposing up to 90 healthy young people to the virus. United Kingdom's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said easing England's restrictions will be done in stages. Food banks in the country are seeing a spike in demand as more families have to rely on free food parcels to survive amid the pandemic.
The demand has been rising really steadily throughout the pandemic, so we had a huge spike at the beginning, and then with each kind of new government announcement and also with the kind of the situation with employment at the moment, there are just a lot more families and individuals in need, so the demand is really high.
Mental health experts have warned most European countries are ignoring mentally ill patients in their COVID-19 vaccine strategies. Meanwhile, Nepal has approved Chinese COVID-19 vaccine VACCINATED for emergency use.
It's time for a short break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In the U.S., 8 people have been shot in a daytime attack near a bus and a subway station in Philadelphia. According to the police, the victims are between 17 to 71 years of age. In a briefing, the police said one of those wounded is in critical condition. Police said they have taken one suspect into custody, while the motive behind the shooting is not yet known. They added 2 guns and 18 bullet shells were found from the scene. Police said they are searching for other possible suspects. The United States says the arms sale to Egypt is a routine replenishment of the naval defense surface-to-air missiles. This comes after rights groups slammed Washington's decision amid reports that Cairo arrested the relatives of the Egyptian-American activist. The activist, Mohammed Sultan, called for attention to what he called the impunity and disregard for human rights under the Egyptian regime. The U.S. State Department said the approval does not prevent Washington's ability to keep upholding a focus on human rights. In a news briefing, State Department's spokesperson Ned Price said the U.S. takes seriously all the allegations of arbitrary arrest or detention. Price said Washington continues to engage Cairo on human rights concerns. Earlier on Tuesday, the U.S. approved an arms sales worth nearly $200 million to Egypt. It said the approval is subject to a congressional review and called Egypt a strategic partner in the region. An iconic building once owned by former U.S. President Donald Trump has been blown up in Atlantic City. The controlled implosion of the Plaza Hotel and Casino comes just a week after Trump's historic second impeachment trial. Following a series of explosions, it took the building about 7 seconds to collapse to the ground. The building came down amid cheers from the people assembled on the nearby pier. Atlantic City Mayor Marty Small said he will use the proceeds from an auction of the demolition button to help a local charity. The Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino had been empty and in disrepair over the past few years. Trump, a Republican who was a real estate developer before moving to the White House, opened it in 1984. He lost control of the property in a 2009 bankruptcy. After surprising people in the US, another mysterious monolith-looking structure has appeared in Congo's capital, Kinshasa. The monolith quickly became a magnet for residents who flocked to the site to catch a glimpse of the wonder. This report has more.
Monoliths first started popping up last year, with the first one appearing in the Utah desert. Earlier this month, a similar structure appeared in Turkey near a World Heritage Site. Kinshasa residents were understandably surprised and took out their phones to take selfies.
One morning we woke up and saw people digging here. They dug during the day. Then at night, early morning, we woke up and saw this metallic triangle. We saw it during the day. We could not understand what it was. We were surprised. Because it is a triangle that we often see in documentaries about Freemasons or Illuminati, we often see that triangle.
Others tried to remove it, prompting the local authority to post police in front of it.
It's normal for the police to be there because there are some youths who are ready to move this thing out of here. They are ready to destroy it because they don't know where it is from.
A local mayor said the structure came out of nowhere, as there was nothing there a few days ago. The origin of the monolith remains unknown, while rumors on social media claim they might be part of a marketing campaign for a show on the streaming service.
American actress Emma Stone will transform into Cruella de Vil, one of Disney's most feared villains, for her upcoming movie. The trailer for the live-action prequel to 101 Dalmatians has been released already. Find out more details about the highly anticipated film in this report.
Cruella, set in 1970s London, tells the story of young designer Estella before she became the fur-loving and dog-napping baddie.
Well, with some people.
In the film, actress Emma Stone sports an eye-catching black and white hairstyle and wreaks havoc as she plays the brilliant but mad character.
Bad. And a little bit mad.
In one scene, Stone sets her cape on fire at a party to reveal a bright red dress underneath, drawing gasps from the crowd. The trailer has garnered some 4.9 million views on Disney's Twitter page in the first 3 hours after its release. Social media users are lavishing praise on Stone's portrayal of Cruella, comparing it to the Joker of the Batman fame. The film will be released in May and is directed by Craig Gillespie.
American pop star Demi Lovato says she had 3 strokes and a heart attack because of drug overdose in 2018. Lovato made the comments while promoting a new documentary on her struggle with addictions. Find out more details about the documentary in this report.
Little red wine, I'll be fine.
I've had so much to say over the past 2 years.
Although Demi Lovato has spoken about her near-death experience in the past, there is much the public still does not know about her 2018 meltdown. Lovato is aiming to set the record straight with a new YouTube documentary.
I was dancing with the devil, out of control.
In 2018, the former child star had been found unconscious at her home in Hollywood Hills from an opioid overdose. She was then rushed to a hospital where her oxygen levels fell to dangerously low levels. In the documentary, Lovato said the doctors told her she had 5 or 10 more minutes. Lovato also revealed that she was left with brain damage from the episode that makes driving and reading difficult. The singer said she first started using cocaine when she was 17. The 4-part documentary features Lovato talking about the pressures of confronting to expectations in the entertainment business. The documentary will be released late next month. Lovato made a public comeback at the 2020 Grammy Awards and is now a spokesperson for the mental health app Talkspace.
And now the business updates. The U.S. Federal Reserve has decided to retain its easy monetary policy. The decision made at a meeting of the Federal Open Market Committee. According to the minutes, participants believed the economy is running far short of the committee's goals. The current monetary policy will remain in place until recovery reaches its previous targets. This will keep the short-term interest rates near zero, while the Federal Reserve will maintain its monthly asset purchase of $120 billion. The Reserve said it will wait for price indicators to rise before tightening monetary policy to fight inflation. In Palestine, Al-Aqsa Mosque compound has been covered with a rare light snowfall as the wintry weather hits the Middle East. The first snow blizzard threatened to paralyze parts of Jerusalem, while meteorologists say more snow is expected by the end of the week. Snowplows and power crews are on the alert in Jerusalem. The approaching storm is expected to be lighter this year. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, Storm Joyce that hit the country on Tuesday is likely to get stronger today. Another weather situation from around the globe. And that's all for now. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus News.